If you are excited to have football back, simple. Like this video. If you're not liking the video, then I guess you don't care about the NFL. I'm excited that it's back. Preseason rolling along. Week 1's going to be here before you guys know it. So hit that thumbs up icon if you're fired up to have football back. I am back on NFL Daily. My name is Harrison Graham. Welcome into the show. 5 quarterbacks that could get benched this year. That is today's topic. I wanted to look at some different guys that enter this season on the hot seat in the NFL. There's always guys every year that have got to perform, otherwise they will be replaced. That's no different this year. Let's go ahead and jump on in here. Could Daniel Jones be on the way out in New York, or at least on the way out of the starting lineup? He reportedly has not performed that well during Giants training camp. He looked okay in limited action in the Giants preseason opener, but let's be honest, this is year 4 for Daniel Jones. I just don't know if it's ever going to happen for him. And to be frank, with year 1 of Brian Daboll as the head coach, I'm not sure Tyrod Taylor isn't a better option and doesn't give you a better chance to win. Now, there could be an argument to be made of, well, this year doesn't really matter for the Giants. You might as well play Daniel Jones, and if he doesn't take a big step, draft a quarterback next year, Daboll gets his guy. But on the flip side, you've gone years without winning. If Tyrod can keep you in the wild card hunt, that's got to be pretty tempting. I'm not saying that's the case, but you look at Daniel Jones through 3 seasons, it just hasn't been much improvement. Sure, the completion percentages have gone up, but the big plays have actually gone down. The touchdowns have gone down. He's had some injury issues. It's now or never for Daniel Jones, and I'm not sure how long that leash is going to be. I've got a bold prediction. I think Tyrod Taylor is going to be in there sooner rather than later. I think the Giants will be drafting a quarterback next year. I just don't think DJ is the guy in NYC. Who is the better quarterback right now? If you had to pick one guy to win one game for you, who are you picking? Type DJ for Daniel Jones, type TT for Tyrod Taylor. I'm picking Tyrod Taylor, and if that is the answer, you got problems in New York. Next up is Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins starting quarterback, who's entering year 3 and has had some injuries, so I think he's got a little bit of a longer leash than a guy like Daniel Jones, who's entering year 4. But let's be honest here, too. The Dolphins have invested heavily around Tua this offseason. They go out and get Tyreek Hill. Last year they drafted Jalen Waddle. They brought in some stud running backs. They hired an offensive-minded head coach in Mike McDaniel. If you don't take a big step with Tyreek Hill on your offense, if you're Tua, who had a ridiculous 6 years in Kansas City, 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns per year basically on average with Patrick Mahomes. Now he goes to play with Tua. If Tua can't get it done with the weapons he has, with that defense, they should be a playoff caliber team. Sure, the offensive line still has questions, but Tua needs to deliver this year. He needs to take a step. He needs to stay healthy, and he needs to look like that top 5 pick he was just a couple of years ago. It's still early-ish, year 3, but year 3 is kind of the year for young quarterbacks. If you're not making big strides by then, you're probably never going to, a la Daniel Jones. Now, BetUS is our sportsbook partner here at Chat Sports, and we have a deal for you as football is back, and you can bet on some preseason games. Create an account today, chatsports.com/bet. Go to that link below. It'll redirect you to the BetUS website. Plug in our promo code NFLDaily. That's going to get you a 125% deposit bonus. What does that mean, you ask? Well, you put down $100, get an extra $125 to play with, especially if you're a beginner in sports gambling. Make some money, try some different bets out, and see how you feel about it all. Go check it out, chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFLDaily. Let's go to Marcus Mariota down in Atlanta. He is expected to be the starter for the Falcons, but obviously they move beyond the Matt Ryan era, who is now in Indianapolis. And Marcus Mariota, who gets a second chance here to be an NFL starting quarterback, the question is how long is that going to last? Because the Falcons are clearly entering a rebuild. The Mariota, Julio days are behind us here. And sure, Mariota flashed at times early in his career, but there's a reason he hasn't been a stable starter the past couple of years. He's had injuries, inconsistent play in Tennessee. He's been the Raiders' backup the past couple of seasons behind Derek Carr. If Mariota struggles and if the Falcons are losing games, there's really no reason to not play Desmond Ridder. Quite frankly, I would consider starting him week 1. You know why? Because I think the Falcons are going to be one of the bottom 3 or 4 teams in the NFL this year. And you might as well evaluate Ritter, who you drafted in the 3rd round, because if you're a bottom 2 or 3 team and you're the Atlanta Falcons and you're trying to think for the future, there are 2 stud quarterbacks in this coming draft that you can draft next year. What you don't want to do is not evaluate Desmond Ritter at all, and then, well, we just draft one of these guys. You could have potentially missed a gem in Ritter. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't draft Stroud or Young if you think they can be better than Ritter, but why not evaluate the young quarterback you just spent a somewhat premium pick on? If you are Atlanta, I get Mariota's going to start. He's probably earned that right, but I got to think that leash is going to be short, especially if the Falcons are losing games earlier in the year, because Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, they're coming, and the Falcons could be looking to find their next franchise quarterback. Who is the better draft prospect out of these 2 gunslingers? Type BY for Bryce Young, type CJ for C.J. Stroud. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. I like Young right now. I think Stroud may have more physical ability. We'll see how these 2 guys play this fall in college football. All right, let's go to Ryan Tannehill. Now, I would put him in a little bit of a different category compared to like a Tua or a Daniel Jones, because Tannehill's been a decent franchise quarterback, at times a really good one for Tennessee, but last year didn't play as well, especially when Derrick Henry got hurt. I think that was a little bit telling. Their offensive line struggled a bit, and he did not handle pressure well at all. But he is expected to be the starter this year. He still is making big-time starting caliber money, almost $30 million per year. However, Malik Willis is coming. He looked really good in the preseason opener. They drafted him in the 3rd round. I thought he was a 1st or 2nd round talent. If Tannehill struggles and they feel good about Willis, it's possible he could unseat Tannehill. Now, I think it's more likely that Tannehill plays his entire year out and maybe Willis gets a chance next year, but maybe the Titans underachieve early, or maybe Tannehill struggles and they want to give Willis a look. Do not be surprised if that ends up being the case in Nashville. Smash that subscribe button here on Chat Sports, because we have you covered with the latest NFL news and rumors. We also have tons of NBA videos, and we're going to ramp up our college football content as the season approaches as well. If you love the NFL, the NBA, and college football, we are the YouTube channel for you. Multiple videos per day on those 3 sports. Subscribe and turn on those notifications. All right, one more here, and then we'll take a look at some honorable mentions. Carson Wentz with Washington. 3rd team in 3 years. He went from Philadelphia to Indianapolis and now Washington. Things did not work out well in Indy, and I think it is telling the fact that Frank Reich, a Carson Wentz believer, after 1 year, he's gone there. Like, that's a bit telling to me. This kind of feels like Wentz's last chance to at least be a stable franchise guy. I'm not saying he could never start again after this season if it doesn't work out, but in terms of having a real chance to be a starter for years and years and years, because he's still young enough to do that if he can stay healthy, this kind of feels it. You look last year, the raw stats don't look terrible. 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, but he had several fumbles. The accuracy wavered at times. Obviously, that last year in Philly was a huge problem. He did not play well in 2020 at all. He hasn't played well at all the past couple of years. That's just a simple fact of the matter. He's got an injury history. He's got leadership question marks at this point as well. There was drama in Philadelphia between him and that franchise. So, I don't know. This feels like his last real opportunity to be a franchise guy in Washington. Sam Howell, they drafted as a rookie, looked good in the preseason opener. They still have Taylor Heinicke, who has starting experience. So Wentz has got to play well. Otherwise, he could be in trouble. Do you still believe in Carson Wentz? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Let me know down in the comments section. Now, I did want to hit some honorable mentions here. A couple of teams who are having quarterback competitions, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. I think Baker's going to win that job, but whoever wins it is going to be on the hot seat and could get unseated by the other guy, depending on how the level of play is. So keep an eye on Carolina. Same thing in Seattle, Geno Smith, Drew Lock. I do think Geno will probably be the week 1 starter, but that leash is going to be very short. I think Drew Lock will definitely get opportunities at this point. At some point in the season, I should say. Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph is behind him. He has started games before. They drafted Kenny Pickett in the 1st round. I'm guessing Mitch will start, but he's already been benched before. He got benched for Nick Foles in Chicago a couple of years ago. The leash is going to be short for Mike Tomlin. Jared Goff, I kind of think he'll play this year out in Detroit, and they'll draft someone next year, but if he struggles, they could bench him. Jameis Winston, they signed Andy Dalton. He's a veteran with a lot of starting experience. Saints have some win-now pieces, so if Winston struggles, maybe he's not right with that knee injury coming off the ACL. Andy Dalton's waiting in the wings to potentially take over. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Some quarterbacks that are on the hot seat and could potentially get benched if they do not perform at a high enough level this year. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I am Harrison Graham, and we will see you next time here on NFL Daily.